Hi, I'm John, and welcome to another episode of N-Scale Friday. Today we're looking at a General Electric AC44C6M locomotive. This comes from ScaleTrains, and it's in their Rivet counter series. At the time of this recording, they have these models listed on their website for the DCC Ready version, $159.99. And for the DCC and Sound Equipped version, $264.99. The model comes packed in a very sturdy cardboard box, and then when you get into the box, you find this clamshell case with the model safely packed inside, and it also comes with a product manual that has a lot of really good information about how to disassemble the model, how to maintain the model, DCC quick start guide, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Even has some information about the prototypes. So it's a pretty comprehensive manual. These models are available in a bunch of different paint schemes, including some NS Heritage or special paint schemes. So you'll want to head over to the ScaleTrains website, and that's probably the best place to figure out which ones they've made. The paint and markings on this model are really well done. The base coat of black is thin enough that it doesn't obscure any details, and the only gapping in the paint really is along the door seams, which is what you'd expect anyway. The details around the cab and the front of the model are pretty astounding. Everything you see there pretty much is separately applied detail. And I should mention, I've had people comment that, what do you mean separately applied? Like I have to put that on when I get it? No. Separately applied means that it's applied at the factory, but it's not part of the mold. So it really stands off of the model. And I'm talking about things like these grab irons up here and all of the handrails. That's all separately applied stuff. Also, if you look carefully, you can see that it has separately applied windshield wiper detail, which is pretty remarkable in N-scale. What else is separately applied, you ask? This MU cable here, this grab on top of the snowplow also separately applied. These little hose details down here, separately applied. So pretty much everything you see on the model is separately applied. Here's a look at the fireman side of the model, and it's kind of hard to tell because it's black on black detail. But if you look underneath, you'll see that there's some detail in the undersill, which is kind of unusual for N-scale, but it's there. And also, when I tip it just right, you can see the light reflecting off of the truck detail. So, pretty cool. Here's the detail on the rear of the model, and it was really hard to see, so I didn't try to point it out when we were looking at the broad side of the fireman side of this model, but there's also a separately applied brake wheel back here, right there. And you can see it from this angle. In addition to all that, looking at the rear of the model itself, you can see that it has all kinds of detail on the pilot, including a bunch of hose detail. Looks like a spare knuckle holder there on the left side of the pilot, and an uncoupling lever. There is a lot of stuff to look at. Also on the deck, you can see that it has ditch lights. They're also on the front. They work. We'll look at that in a minute. Really cool. You can see from this angle that it has another spare knuckle holder down here, as well as more hose detail. And there's an air hose there next to the coupler. It's hard to see because it's black on black, but I have a lot of lights on in here, so you should be able to see that. Also from this angle, you can see that these grabs that constitute the roof access here are separately applied as well. Here's a look at the roof detail. All of these little grills here on the radiator fan section are separately applied photo-etched metal pieces that look really good. You can see the smokestack has some depth to it, which is also pretty cool. And then the horn is a separately applied casting here, and it has a whole PTC array on top of the cab and a very interesting paint treatment there. I'm guessing that's probably visible in some pictures somewhere because that's what these guys do. All right, now it's time to run the model. pretty loud, actually. I just realized I usually run it in reverse with the bell on. Guess I forgot to this time. Here it is on speed step 1 on Y throttle. It's a little chunky there. Let's try speed step 3. Here's speed step 4. All right, turn the sound off, and we'll see what the mechanism sounds like without all those prime mover sounds. It takes a long time for the sounds to ramp down, doesn't it? All right, here we go. It's very quiet. This is speed 30 on Y throttle. Very quiet runner. Bring it up to 4. That's where it gets real smooth. Nice performance, actually. Okay, now we'll take a look at the lights on this model. The headlight is activated with F0, and it's directional. F6 turns the ditch lights on and off. And in case you're wondering, the ditch lights do alternate flashing when you hit the horn. And when you hit F8, some other lights come on. That would be the number boards. And when the sound is activated, you can turn the number boards on or off with the F14 key. And there are other things you can do, like F12 dims the headlight for, I think it's called Rule 17. That's when there's an oncoming train. The crew of a prototype train will dim the headlights so as to not blind the crew of the oncoming train. And when I put the model in reverse, the rear headlight and ditch lights come on. You can see the ditch lights flash in the rearward facing direction as well. This is another very detailed N-scale model from ScaleTrains that looks great. It runs great. It has all the lighting features I think any serious N-scaler could want from a model straight out of the box, referring to things like working number boards, flashing ditch lights, or just ditch lights at all. And it really has everything that you could possibly want, I think. And just great job, ScaleTrains. I'll see you next time.